Sure, you've been in the situation at the hero select screen, unsure exactly what to pick, multiple DPS locked, a single healer, and a Torb. What do we do? Well, of course, we need some kind of tanking, but what a situation like this presents for us is a great example of how to utilize smart tanking that doesn't need pocket healing. That's a big misconception that I still hear in matchmaking nowadays, and it's something that is very outdated. Instead, what I want you guys to focus on is the term engagements. I don't hear the term engagements enough. If you see me in a game or in real life or anything, clean engagement is the word I want you to say. Good engagement, team engage, engage. That's what it's all about. And the reason why that's so important is that if you engage properly and quickly and to the point and don't tank with your face, but instead look for the proper way to set up the fight, you won't need pocket healing in order to maintain standing in front and taking damage. You see a lot of this across matchmaking where tanks especially think they have to be in front, be the ones taking the damage, and constantly be in a fight, brawling it out. And because of that, they need tons of healing pumped into them. But because healing in the game in general has just been nerfed, what it exposed was that playstyle was more of a crutch that you used to be able to get away with when Ana healing was incredibly good, but instead now you're going to have to find an engagement that is favorable for your team, and the best way to do that is to get yourself in a fight that you don't even need healing in, and I'm going to describe how to do that right now in a few examples. Well, first of all, we'll watch the start of this Anubis game. Playing as Winston here, my goal is not to be the first point of contact. That's what we have ranged characters for. The ranged damage here actually is the initiation into the fight because we're able to use a sniper. Hanzo picks off their Ana, but whether he got that pick or not, my play here on the Winston would have been good to crowd control him out of his bubble into the open street where he can get focused, and there's a chance he wouldn't even have been in the line of sight of his Ana if she were still alive. But through this fight, I only take 40 damage through the entire thing. And I do this by avoiding the point of contact from any damage source as much as possible while still doing my job. I only have to jump in when the fight is engaged, of course. When the enemy Winston's on my Hanzo, I gotta do something about that. But this, of course, shows the power, and I've said this in previous videos as well, of jumping second. Because I jump second, I'm able to boop him out of his bubble, and the counter initiation makes things easy peasy. Now, if the opposite was the case, and I was the first Winston to jump in while their entire team is together, whether our Hanzo gets the pick or not, they might be able to just focus fire me down, and if my Ana doesn't bail me out, I'd be dead. Whereas waiting with that little bit of patience to find the most opportune place to be in the fight means that healing doesn't even really come into it. We're able to divide and conquer, and I facilitate my ranged damage dealers. You have to give them time to be able to hit their shots, because if you don't and you just go in and die and engage, you're narrowing the window that they have to try to hit shots instead of facilitating it. Whereas suppose if you're playing with like a Reaper or a Genji, you might decide instead to just engage together quickly on the point of contact, but when you're setting up range damage characters, you kind of need them to have a little bit more time to find what they're doing because their shots are a little bit harder to hit, a little more hit and miss. So this would go for playing with all sorts of ranged characters, Hanzo for one, but definitely a Pharah as well. Let that ranged damage do its work, not your face. I'm sure many of you are sitting there thinking like, let your ranged damage work. No DPS can hit a shot. Well, unfortunately, if you have DPS that's never going to hit a shot anyway, you're not going to face tank your way to victory regardless. If you play this way and you still lose, well, you're going to lose that game anyway. The only thing you can do is try your best to take the smartest engagements and play as sound as possible, whether it works or not. Now, here as the enemy team is barreling up the center again, their Winston dives in deep, partially because they don't have a Lucio. Even in GM, this is the case, attacking without a Lucio. Big mistake. Their Ana is isolated far beyond the rest of their team. If I dived at the same time as when their Winston did, I would be facing into the entirety of the enemy team and very likely to be focused, but because I allow the play to develop, which is especially easy to do when they don't have a Lucio, because they're going to naturally be split because they have different movement speeds and movement abilities, as the enemy Winston and D.Va find targets that they want to fight, well, their Ana's left isolated by herself in the back and she's a free kill. Wipe out their healing source really early in the fight means that they're not going to be able to sustain, and it's pretty much rip. Now on this next push, my Torb's in danger, and since the entire enemy team is probably just going to turn the corner and smack him, I do tank with my face here, which is okay when you're doing it for somebody else. Then it's body blocking. When you're putting your body, which can absorb a bigger hit than your friendly squishy teammate, then you're body blocking for your teammate. And taking with your face in that case is a good thing. But you don't want to overstay your welcome in that fight, of course. They're all there. They peeled for my engage, which is smart by them, because if I overextend into them there, then I'm going to die for sure. But as soon as they do that, and I realize they're doing that, I back the heck out of dodge, our Torb is safe, and we go again. This is kind of how the footsie battle of these engagements work, is that they put their left foot in, I put my right foot out, they put their left foot out, and I back out too. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the hokey pokey meta. Next video, we'll talk about the chicken dance meta. But by doing this and not overstaying our welcome, poking, finding the opening, letting the play develop, I'm able to do my job with minimal healing, find the opening, kill the Ana, and that's how this Anubis game became a full hold. The enemy team had the same engagement problem over and over again. The reason why I want to emphasize this in today's video is because far too often do I see tanks that don't focus on engaging properly so that the fight commits in a favorable way so that pocket healing isn't required. Healing should be a thing that pushes you over the edge to win a fight, not sustain you in a bad fight. As we take control of the Mega Health Pack here on the outside of Anubis on attack, I don't just jump into the sim spam. I don't jump into the Reinhardt's face and start zapping him and expect to just get pocketed forever. Instead, we're able to isolate two squishies that are on the bridge, uncomfortably close together, and I give them a group hug. And because my soldier's able to have a nice clean line of sight onto my engagement, we can have a natural focus fire, and between my clean initiation and him firing a helix into the both of them as well, we have an instant double kill. That's the type of initiation that dreams are made of. Now, I'm only using Winston as an example in today's video, but this goes for all the tanks, really. There's just slightly different rules for each one. Reinhardt, in the same situation, doesn't have the luxury of diving in on squishies whenever he wants, because his movement isn't as good. Of course, Reinhardt himself isn't as good right now, and it's typically a mistake to run Reinhardt into an enemy sim anyway. But if you had to have Reinhardt in that situation, you'd want to set up a similar type of initiation, but minimizing the amount of irrelevant spam that you take at the choke. This principle still apply that once you find where you want to go, you have to go in and commit to the fight, making it last only a few seconds in theory. From the transition from the point A attack to point B, I've been trickling them the whole time, poking and prodding, looking for those opportunities, building my ult to use that to heal me rather than expecting to get healed. And by doing so, I always kind of have a beat on where the important characters of the enemy team are at. We know where the Ana's at, we're able to find the soldier as he pops out, and I'm able to get in on him right away and just disrupt anything that they're trying to do. But all the while here, beyond when I had to pop Primal to stay alive, I'm navigating the map and the chaos of everything to avoid lines of sight of my enemies, with the goal being basically just to harass without taking damage, not tanking with my face, of course. We'll see similar examples here on Ilios, which if you look up at the scoreboard was a very close game, but in this particular game, we were getting wrecked until I was able to swap onto Winston, and then when I did so, the enemy team just looked flabbergasted at the types of engagements that I was able to take and completely unprepared. This is kind of the cool thing about Winston, that if you get really sick at this precise engagement style, it doesn't really take a ton of mechanics to do this. There's a few things that you're going to want to perfect, like landing your jumps exactly where you want, sometimes crowd controlling with your jump, which takes a little bit more precision, doing the melee combo as you hit the ground, of course. You can sneak in an extra melee right before you hit the ground, pop that melee in there, and it will give you a burst of 30 damage, which would come faster than just your Tesla weapon. But that's pretty much it, right? And that's why I'm not a big fan of the no aim, no brain, I'm a Winston main meme, because it's the opposite of that. As we've said in videos prior, it's all engagement strategy and timing and understanding the flow of how these engagements work. These last few clips, if you normally tune out at the end of the videos, you're definitely going to stop to watch the last one. Probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. It really does help us out, especially if you found this one useful. I hope it does help you guys out. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe, because we upload each and every day, so you're going to want to hit the bell icon so that you get notified when our videos go live. Linked in the description, you can check out our Twitter and our Discord server, where you can interact with our community and find the Winston main of your dreams to team up with. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.